You know, every single weekend in Hollywood, there's this high-stakes battle going on for your attention, and let's be honest, for your money. It's this whole world of huge debuts, shocking collapses, and these surprising movies that just come out of nowhere. And for one weekend in February, the box office charts are telling a really fascinating story.
So that brings us to the big question. Who really won? Because I'll tell you, the biggest winner might not be the movie sitting up there in that #1 spot. The answer? Well, it's a little more complicated than you might think.
All right, to figure that out, we first need to get the lay of the land. So let's rewind the clock just 1 week and see who was ruling the roost at the end of January.
Okay, check this out. The new releases were just completely dominant. Send Help, Iron Lung, Melania, Shelter, all of them brand new, all just storming the top 4 spots. But then, look down there at number 5, Avatar Fire and Ash, still pulling in over $7 million in its 7th week. Now that is a heavyweight.
So that was the scene, right? 4 new champs on top of the charts, with this absolute titan right on their heels. But yeah, everything was about to get turned completely upside down.
And this brings us to the main event, that classic clash between the explosive new movies trying to make a huge splash and those established hits that just refuse to go away.
And this right here, this illustrates that conflict perfectly. On one side, you've got Solo Mio, a brand new film debuting at number 2 with a really strong $7 million weekend. I mean, that's a huge opening. But then on the other side, you have Zootopia 2. It's in its 11th week, and it's still making $4 million. One has that opening night power, the other has just incredible endurance.
And Solo Mio wasn't alone, not by a long shot. It was a super crowded weekend. The K-pop concert film for Stray Kids had this massive debut at over $5.5 million, and the new Dracula reboot pulled in a very respectable $4.4 million. All 3 of them landed in the top 5, which honestly is a really strong showing for the newcomers.
But like we said, that #1 spot is not the whole story. To find the real winners, you gotta look a little deeper. It's not just about how much money a movie made, it's about how well it held on to its audience from the week before. So, the crucial metric, the magic number here, is the percentage drop. This little number tells you so much about word of mouth. A small drop means people loved it, they told their friends, and the movie has long legs. But a big drop? Well, that tells you something else entirely. Maybe it's a horror movie that burned through its entire fan base on opening weekend, or maybe the movie just wasn't very good.
I mean, just look at this number for Zootopia 2. A drop of only 32% in its 11th week in theaters. That is absolutely fantastic. It means audiences are still coming, the word of mouth is just incredible, and it's become a true must-see movie. That is the mark of a real winner.
And now for the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Look at this. Return to Silent Hill dropped over 88% in its 2nd weekend. That is a straight-up catastrophe. It basically means everybody who wanted to see it saw it opening night, and they definitely did not tell their friends to go see it. The buzz just vanished.
And it wasn't just Silent Hill having a bad week. Remember all those big new movies from last week? Well, they all took a serious tumble. Melania and Iron Lung dropped by 2/3. Even the #1 film, Send Help, lost more than half its audience. It just goes to show you a big debut does not guarantee success.
Okay, but honestly, some of the most interesting stories aren't always in the top 10. If you look way down the list, you find some truly wild results that tell you a lot about what audiences are really looking for. Okay, get this. In its first week, the film The Moment was only playing in 4 theaters. Just 4. And it made almost $150,000. That's an average of nearly $38,000 per theater, which is an absolutely insane number. It means those few theaters were just packed for every single showing. Now that is how you build hype.
So, did that hype actually pay off? Oh, you bet it did. The very next weekend, they expanded to almost 600 theaters, and its total earnings just exploded by almost 300%, landing it at number 13 on the chart. That is a perfectly executed limited release strategy. Just beautifully done.
Now how about this one? The film Arco saw its box office jump by over 850% in a single week. How's that even possible? Well, it was a re-release. This just shows you there's this huge appetite for seeing older, classic, or maybe even cult films back on the big screen. It's a market that is clearly growing.
And finally, this might be my favorite stat of the entire weekend. The film Hundreds of Beavers has been in theaters for 106 weeks. That is over 2 years. It's never been some massive blockbuster, but it's found this dedicated audience that just keeps it playing somewhere, week after week. It's the little engine that could, a true cult phenomenon.
Okay, so we've dug through all that data. The big hits, the huge drops, the hidden gems. So what does it all mean? Let's put all the pieces together. First, big debuts are flashy, but they can be super front-loaded and fade incredibly fast, just like we saw with Send Help and Iron Lung. Second, staying power is king. A tiny drop like the one Zootopia 2 had is way more impressive than a huge opening weekend. Third, you gotta look beyond the top 10. Films like Arco and Hundreds of Beavers are telling these incredible success stories. And finally, strategy really, really matters. The moment proved that a smart, limited release can build enough buzz to launch a film right into the mainstream.
So in the end, the box office chart isn't just some scoreboard. It's a living, breathing story, full of triumphs, failures, brilliant strategies, and sometimes just pure, simple audience love for a great movie.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Who really won? Maybe it was the newcomer's Solo Mio, or the long-distance runner, Zootopia 2, or maybe the strategic genius behind The Moment. So I'll leave you with this. Looking at all this data, which of these movies do you think are built to last, and which ones are already on their way to being forgotten? The numbers have quite a story to tell.